This is Valley News Live at 5.
Good evening, everyone. We begin with breaking news. Lutheran Social Services of North Dakota is shutting its doors. The agency says it's part of a controlled liquidation plan affecting 283 employees. Valley News team's Courtney Lockie joins us live now with the latest. Courtney.
Stacy, this organization has been helping people in need for over a century, but the pandemic paired with the drain of resources brought on by Lutheran Social Services Housing Department is making it so the agency cannot survive. It's something they've been talking about for the last 6 weeks, but ultimately the financial pressure has made it so they can no longer help families, children, elderly, refugees, and many more. Now, this will impact all of the programs that the nonprofit has to offer. Some of those will end immediately and others will be slowly phased out over the next couple of weeks. Now, as you mentioned, nearly 300 staff members have been laid off. This is all a part of Lutheran Social Services liquidation plan, but they say that filing for bankruptcy and closing permanently is something that is not off the table. I talked with the CEO and the president of the agency today, and coming up tonight on Valley News Live at 10, I'm going to be breaking down all of this and what's next. Live in Fargo, Courtney Lockie, Valley News Live.
Courtney, thanks so much. We have the agency's full statement on our website and on the VNL News app. Now on to more breaking news. The National Rifle Association announced today it has filed for bankruptcy and will seek to incorporate the nation's most politically influential gun rights group in Texas instead of New York. The announcement made on the NRA's website comes months after New York's Attorney General sued the organization over claims that top executives embezzled tens of millions of dollars. Well, the roads still aren't great, but luckily our Friday forecast is quieter than yesterday. Here's Hutch with your first look.
Stacy, thanks so much. As you take a look at our tower cam there, you can see the ice on the lens causing that wavy shape to everything in there, and our roads are also icy. Our first alert weather day does continue today, but we are finally seeing a decrease in wind and snow. Now at the 6 o'clock hour, many of our watches, warnings, and advisories do expire. And here's some snow reports. Duluth and Minneapolis by far with the most lofty snowfall totals. Most in our area, a trace to up to 3 inches in Lakes Country, 2 to 5 in the Sisseton Hills. Another windy day with gusts approaching 50 miles per hour in Fargo and still near 60 out to the west. We're starting to see those winds subside, but don't be surprised if gusts still rip over 30 miles per hour as the snow exits the area tonight, Stacy. Temperatures are below freezing, so our slippery roads will remain very icy. Give yourself extra time. Stay off of the cruise control, particularly on side streets. There's a look at the winter weather advisory continuing through the valley, a wind advisory out for our western counties, and a blizzard warning continuing for the Sisseton Hills. Roads in South Dakota and southern Minnesota, by the way, are very poor conditions, and no travel advisories in southwestern-most Minnesota. I'll have hour-by-hour details on a better weekend here, Stacy, in just a few moments.
All right, Hutch, thanks so much. Murdering her toddler daughter. 37-year-old Brandy Adeliki is booked in the Cass County Jail on 1 count of murder. Valley News team's Callie Hubbard went to the apartment where it happened. She has reaction for us live tonight from neighbors. Callie.
Stacy, that's right. I'm standing right outside of this apartment where this all happened just about 2 months ago. Police came here to the 2300 block of 17th Street South for a report of an unresponsive child. Family of 15-month-old Mika say she was horribly abused and tortured by her temporary caregiver and possibly others. They say she had been horribly abused, burned with chemicals, given alcohol, battered, and raped multiple ways. The family saying there are more horrific details to the torture and murder that they don't want the world to have to suffer knowing, but it keeps replaying in their heads. They say these thoughts will scar them and Mika's young cousins for the rest of their lives. Now, I spoke with neighbors that were shocked to find out that they live next door to where this happened, adding that this is a sign to be more careful.
I can't believe I didn't know it was so close to home. Fargo's getting bad.
37-year-old Brandy Adeliki is now in the Cass County Jail on 1 count of murder. Fargo police say that after weeks of investigation, the medical examiner ruled Mika's death a homicide. Reporting live in South Fargo, Callie Hubbard, Valley News Live.
All right, thanks, Callie. Brandy Adeliki declined an interview with us from the Cass County Jail. A man is in jail after attempting to flee while crashing through a fence on I-29. It happened this morning just after 1 a.m. when a Fargo police officer attempted to make a traffic stop. The driver accelerated and fled from the officer. Police followed. The officer caught up with 38-year-old Nathan Wall after crashing through the interstate fence and attempting to run on foot. Officers arrested him for multiple warrants and fleeing in a motor vehicle. An auto shop in New York Mills is asking for your help finding the person they say stole parts from a car. Gibbs Number 10 Sales posted several pictures to their Facebook page of a person in a truck they describe as a maroon 2002 or 2003 Ford F-150. The post says the person in the picture has been stealing catalytic converters and asks that if anyone has any information as to who they could be, to call them at 218-385-3010. A man is in jail after a police chase from Jamestown to Spiritwood in Stutzman County. Police say Gary Zink Jr. took off yesterday when an officer tried pulling him over for a traffic violation. They say he drove through several people's yards and hit a trailer before jumping out of his car and trying to run. Turns out he already had an arrest warrant. Zink was arrested for reckless endangerment, fleeing, and drug possession. The search for answers after last week's deadly mob of pro-Trump rioters sieged the Capitol leaves lawmakers pointing the finger at each other. As Washington reporter Kyle Madura explains, it's possible some will lose their seats over what they said online and in Congress.
Twice impeached, President Donald Trump's time in the White House will end before he faces another trial in the Senate.
The impeachment hoax is a continuation of the greatest and most vicious witch hunt in the history of our country.
But Senator Sherrod Brown is calling for a pair of the president's congressional allies to step down or be forced out.
I know they won't resign. They're not the kind of people that would resign or even show contrition.
Brown accuses Senators Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley of giving support to baseless allegations of voter fraud and criticizes their efforts to overturn a free and fair election.
They played a role in the insurrection. Nobody played as big a role as the President of the United States.
Neither Cruz nor Hawley granted our repeated interview requests before or after the mob of pro-Trump extremists seized the Capitol. But both characterized themselves as the victims of partisan attacks in op-eds and interviews with other media outlets.
The Democrats are doing anything and everything they can to punish as many Republicans as possible.
Representative Lauren Boebert is also fending off calls for her resignation or removal. Critics argue she sparked revolt with her tweets and election objections.
I knew that I would face people calling me a seditionist, a traitor. I was not thinking they would call me an insurrectionist.
Since the Civil War, Congress has only booted 2 of its members. Georgetown University's Mark Rome doesn't expect new additions to that short list.
They're unlikely to be expelled currently. But, the politics can change.
He says investigations could reveal more damning evidence. And short of expulsion, even formal reprimands could hurt Cruz and Hawley's own potential presidential ambitions. Kyle Madura, Valley News Live.
While Brown has called for expulsion, he's not taken steps to formally begin that process. He says he's waiting to hear from more of his colleagues and argues that Congress needs to focus on more pressing matters first. North Dakota's mask mandate will end on Monday, but for those in Fargo, keep in mind the city's mandate will remain until February 18th. That move was made earlier this week. The governor today announced the end of the state mandate on Monday. He admits that there's a risk, but urges vigilance, including wearing masks to keep the COVID numbers trending downward. Also today, the governor announced that limits capacity for bars, restaurants, and event venues will be modified on Monday to reflect a moderate risk level.
We still strongly support mask wearing as part of the important work that we need to do to contain this virus and to maintain the strong position that we're in.
And for more information, just head to our website, valleynewslive.com, and click on this story. Dr. Anthony Fauci is criticizing the rollout of the coronavirus vaccine. He says he believes 100 million people could be vaccinated in the first 100 days of the Biden presidency and that achieving herd immunity against the virus is possible.
If we get about 70% to 85% of the people in the country vaccinated, we likely will get to that umbrella of herd immunity that you'll start to see a serious turnaround of infections so people can feel, and I think it is possible after several months of doing this, that we can start to approaching some form of normality. But It's really going to be dependent on the uptake of vaccines.
Fauci also said the president-elect promised to ensure further coordination between the federal government and the states on administering the vaccine. If you're looking to get a COVID test in the Fargo area this weekend, you're in luck. Fargo Cass Public Health is holding a rapid testing event in West Fargo. Valley News Team's Brian Sherrod has more.
There are multiple ways you can get tested for COVID-19, but let's first start with the upcoming event this Sunday. Now, testing will take place at Faith and Journey Lutheran Church from 8 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. Pre-registration is required and can be completed at testreg.nd.gov. The Buy Next Now tests at this event are self-administered. Results are received in 15 to 30 minutes by text message. Individuals seeking a test will be asked to provide their full name and phone number. Staff will be on site to assist these test takers. Now, if you happen to miss this event this weekend, there are more opportunities to receive one, but there is a little more restrictions to that. Now, testing will take place from 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon every Wednesday until February 10th. If interested, head over to the parking garage at the Lights Plaza and follow the signs to the testing area. The city says screening is for asymptomatic visitors only, so if you are sick, isolate at home and call your doctor. Now, participants are encouraged to register before getting tested.
Fargo Cass Public Health has administered nearly 3,000 doses of the COVID vaccine over the course of 10 clinics. Next week, 500 doses are allocated to finalize vaccinations for priority groups in Phase 1A and to begin administering to priority groups in Phase 1B. The week of January 25th, they anticipate receiving 975 doses of Pfizer and 500 doses of Moderna vaccines. Here's something you can do to make sure our healthcare workers are being taken care of in the midst of the pandemic. Last month, we told you about the Coffee for Healthcare Heroes Fund to provide gift cards to frontline workers. So far, $40,000 worth have been distributed to workers at Sanford, Essentia, and the Fargo VA. If you want to donate, there's a link on valleynewslive.com. Just click on this story. Coming up, if you have a Fitbit, you may have some new privacy concerns. We'll explain.
Travel troubles in portions of eastern North Dakota with some icy roads reported on the DOT website. Also, closed roads are not a factor, but limited travel in southwest Minnesota as a lot of snow fell there with the wind and the blizzard. Details on your forecast for the weekend are next.